Hey everyone, it's Miss Silbernagel. Today we're going to talk about Walk Two Moons, chapters 37 through 40. All right, chapter 37, A Kiss. Remember, we left off on chapter 36 with the lunatic and Miss Winterbottom kissing on a park bench. Yuck. The girls run away from this, but end up getting split up. Sal goes to the hospital where Ben was and asks for Mrs. Finney, kind of on a whim. Sal tries to get to the hospital room, but they say it's for family only. She's allowed to go outside and sees Ben sitting with a woman in a pink robe that he introduces as his mother. Sal is reminded of her mother after the baby's death. Sal's mom would wander the field by their house, forget what she was doing, and then move in another direction. So a lot of the time people think about going to a hospital for a mental issue like this, where it has kind of a bad connotation, where people just feel like it's not the greatest thing. However, I think in this case, Sal recognizes that Ben's mom needed help. So when you're at an institution like that, sometimes the way I like to think about it is if you need help, you have all of these knots in your mind. And getting help from a doctor or a psychiatrist, anything like that, kind of gets those knots out of your head. Sal thinks for one moment her and Ben had the same agenda. This is one of those notes Phoebe has received on her doorstop, so remember, this is going to be a theme for us in the story. That'll help us with our final product. Ben and Sal kiss. That was their same agenda. Ben says, "Did it taste a little like blackberries to you?" Yay. Oh, that felt a little awkward to me. I don't know about you. All right, chapter 38, Spit. Sal and Ben find Phoebe sitting on a bench at a bus stop. Phoebe says she noticed her mom cut her hair really short and that she spit in the grass. Then the lunatic spit too. Ugh, yuck. She is really grossed out by that. Phoebe is in the stage of grief, of anger right now. She is so upset that she says her mom can stay out of the house, she shouldn't come home, and her mom doesn't need the family anyways. When they get home, Prudence says their mom has called and she's ready to come home. Phoebe acts like she does not care. She also doesn't tell Prudence or her dad what she saw when she was out. Prudence says their mom is bringing someone home and to not be too judgy about it. Also, she's bringing home him, the lunatic. So remember, Phoebe has seen the mom kissing the lunatic, and she thinks the mom and the husband, the mom is having an affair with the lunatic. We'll see how that pans out. Sal gets home and sees Margaret Cadaver and her dad sitting on the porch. Margaret says her brother, Mr. Berkway, told her Sal was in his class. Sal tells her dad Mrs. Winterbottom is coming home. As soon as she tells him, she knows her dad is thinking about her mom. Kind of sad. All Sal can think about is how Phoebe and Prudence are about to have their lives ruined when Mrs. Winterbottom brings home the lunatic. Homecoming, chapter 39. Phoebe calls Sal to come over to her house for a witness. She says Prudence and her dad spent all morning cleaning the house, but eventually thought if the house was too clean, their mom would think they could function without her. They ended up intentionally making the house just a little bit messy. The whole Winterbottom family is so nervous about their mom coming home, they're all jumpy and can't sit still. Phoebe even says that Mr. Winterbottom is kind of upset with her because she refused to help to clean up the house. Miss Winterbottom looks completely different when she comes home, in a good way. She cut her hair and is wearing makeup, and her clothes are really cute. So she went from this frumpy old mom to this. Nice, in order, she looks good. Miss Winterbottom introduces Mike. Phoebe calls him a lunatic, and Mr. Winterbottom demands that she explain what is going on. Miss Winterbottom talks about how she's always tried to be perfect, but she can't keep it up any longer. We learn that Mike is her son. Dun, dun, dun. So remember that kiss that we saw the mom and the lunatic having? Maybe it wasn't necessarily something that looked like this, and maybe it truly was a kiss that was like this, a mom kissing her son on the cheek. Miss Winterbottom is worried that her husband will hate her for having an older son and that she never told him about it. At first, Mr. Winterbottom is really upset and says he doesn't know who his wife is. Then, after a minute of thinking about it, Mr. Winterbottom shakes Mike's hand and welcomes him to the family. He says, "I always wanted a son." Mr. Winterbottom ends up asking if his wife is going to leave again, and he is happy she says she will stay if he wants her to. Phoebe is the only one that seems really not okay right now. She yells at her mom and says, "When you all decide exactly how many people are in this family, you let me know." So Sal is in the room and she is witnessing all of this happen. While all this is going on, she's sitting in the corner thinking about how sad all of this makes her. She says, "I was sad for Phoebe and her parents and Prudence and Mike, sad for the leaves that were dying, and sad for myself, something that I had lost." So in this case, if you think when Sal thinks about trees, really that's a connection to her mom. So when she thinks about leaves dying, that she's sad for herself, she's sad for something that she had lost. Phoebe and Sal leave the house and they see something very interesting. They see Miss Partridge with an envelope on their front steps. All right, chapter 40, the gifts. Gramps finally gets to Idaho. Sal thinks getting to her mom before her birthday might be a reality. They notice Graham sounds weak and tired and has a slight cough. Oh no, doesn't sound good. Phoebe sees Miss Partridge on their front steps with an envelope. So she takes the envelope and it says, "Don't judge a man until you've walked 2 moons in his moccasins." Miss Partridge admits that she was the one leaving the notes all along, and she thought they would be a nice surprise for the family. Margaret reads these quotes to her every day. She says it makes her feel like it's a fortune cookie that she's leaving for their family. Phoebe asks about Miss Partridge seeing her brother, and Miss Partridge says she felt his face because remember, she is blind. She thought they had similar faces and just assumed that they were siblings. Phoebe and Sal spit into the street. Even though Phoebe thought this was really gross when her mom did it, she thinks it was fun now. She's letting go of that feeling of being perfect, just like her mom did. Phoebe is a little bit of a mirror to her mom in this moment. Sal talks to Margaret about how she knows her father. She says it was painful and even cried, but she understood why her dad liked to be around her. So we as the reader don't quite know yet who Margaret is, but Sal does. Ben goes to Sal's house and he has a gift. He bought her a chicken. Ben says he named it Blackberry. All right, Ben, I'll give this one to you. That was actually a pretty smooth move. That was pretty cute. The chapter ends here with the drive back with Graham and Gramps. So Sal notices Gramps does not look good. She asks Gramps if she looks a little gray to him, and he agrees. So she's looking pretty sick. He steps on the gas, trying to get to a place called Coeur d'Alene as quick as possible. Remember, Graham was bit by that water moccasin snake that is poisonous, and as we all know from current events, people who are older don't quite recover from stuff like this as easily. So this is not good news for Grams. All right, guys, If you have any questions for us, we'll be in class time today, online and in person. Have a great day. See you later.